Okay. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic Lessons, Known Classics. This is episode number 3260, Doubleshot number 3154. Got two series from the World Hellboy. First up we have is B.P.R.D, Volume 9, Omnibus Volume 9. This collects the stories of these are the remaining stories for Hell on Earth, Nothing, Nowhere, Nothing, Never, Mod and Prometheus, End of Days, and The Cometh Hour. And these stories, so where are you? Damn it, I forgot, but hang on. Give me just a minute here. Okay, so Nowhere, Nothing, Never, that covered issues 130 to 132. Mod Prometheus is 130, 134. End of Days is 135 to 139. And The Cometh Hour, which is the final story arc under the Hell on Earth saga, covered issues 143 to 147. By the way, the next Omnibus, it will cover a Devil You Know saga. As for the remaining stuff, separate trade paperback sales. Yep. So, Nowhere, Nothing, Never. This is I think it was a two-parter. Let me be sure about this one. This is a three-parter. Yes, three-parter. We're in this. The whole thing is focused on John, where it thinks because he got a spare suit. Apparently, there's a guy who works with him who doesn't like him very much. Agent Nicholas, he just can't stand him. He apparently wants to be reassigned under somebody else. Yeah. And we have stuff with possibly like stuff with like in the past, and John just runs about and just is weird monsters. There's at one point, because Agent Nicholas does not like him very much, he takes away his spare suit and shuts a helicopter. But at this point, he basically is walking outside the headquarters. He then proceeds to use a device to unlock his suit, take off his helmet, and he gets whisked away. And everything you see disappeared. Like, thinking he committed suicide, but not really. But look up, he's got a spare suit. And it's at I think it's the end of part 3, I think it was. Basically, monsters deal with another monster hotel. And there's his helmet. Basically, this little girl gets caught wearing this. Yeah, this is the one, this part 2 is where he basically takes the spare suit. Yeah. So, we see a little girl, she is minding her business, wearing this helmet, and then I think it's her mom tells us to take out the helmet off her, calling it trash. This was not necessary at all. Yeah, she's trying to keep warm. Looks like she was smoking too, possibly. But yeah, this smack was completely unnecessary. Try to put it back, but somebody spooked her. Just John. And then we see the same girl next issue, where then he apparently he takes something out and just absorbs memories. And people killed right in front. He basically later kills a man for calling him an intruder. Then he picks the helmet up, puts it back. I think it's a monster. I'm not here for trouble. I am unarmed. I noticed your lamps are on. You have power? But I'm sure I'm no welcome sight to you, but if there's a phone service, we have a bug here forever. Used to have all in the rooms, only a few. I ain't sure which ones. Yep, but the little girl's happy. Well, actually, Belle opened the door, and all of a sudden a monster comes out, but lucky enough, basically, and then the girl's mom. Who was acting really dumb. Called their brothers, like, what? And then the monsters are attacking. And we go to the B.P.R.D headquarters, which for some reason the way it's shaped, it's almost like the way the headquarters is. It's like this building is like a submarine trapped inside a mountain. Yep. So then, of course, finds something to fight with against these whatever these creatures are. Burns a car. Don't look, and of course, basically, they give that baby. Light a fire, and then the creature pops up, tries to basically stab into his suit, but he basically falls apart. But luckily enough, he gets himself a spare suit. Yeah, apparently puts on one of his spare suits, like a fire point on his desk. And then we have this weird robotic suit, which then we have a flashback dedicated to this. Modern Prometheus, a two-parter, which is named after Frankenstein. Yep. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the Frankenstein, another title for the Frankenstein original novel was actually Modern Prometheus. And basically, we're flashing back to New Year's Day, 1945, which is, I would say, prior to Hellboy arriving in the real world. And he wants to use his robots as a replacement for his stasis suits, but it can't exactly work. And then we have a bunch of Nazi stuff here. Yeah, it's a quick little two-parter, but I thought it was quite interesting. Yep. Did John get his own suit in the end? Well, he kind of does. And then we have End of Days. End of Days is a five-parter. And then to cap it off, we have another five-parter. Yes, and a lot of this involves Black Flame. Yes, we have this weird thing in space. Oh, by the way, in the last story arc here, I think it was mentioned here in the last story arc where they're talking about shutting down the Mountain of Hell, which unleashed all of this stuff. And basically, they're trying to shut it down. And Black Flame is basically involved. At one point, while wearing his suit, he wants to get a drink so he can get a gun. And we have stuff with this weird creature who apparently is behind this thing. Yeah, then we have B.P.R.D ship flying around dealing with these creatures. Yeah. And we have Liz Sheridan basically using her firepower to burn these creatures. Oh, by the way, I think it's during this story here where they have to evacuate the B.P.R.D headquarters. Well, you do briefly see a glimpse of the future where the headquarters is destroyed, but it's a glimpse in the future that this will happen. And the reason why they had to evacuate the headquarters, because there's a monster closing on the action facility. Yeah, that's the reason why they have to evacuate the whole entire complex. And then we have where the giant creature is attacking, I think this is New York that's heavily ruined. Yes, he's attacking New York, this creature. And basically, in the next part here, he's taking on John. And Liz, when she's in the water, her necklace comes off, like... And then this arc ends with, well, basically, I think Liz retrieves her cross. John nearly is defeated, but lucky enough, basically, he gets up and defeats this creature. Yeah, and then of course he wants to get the drink in Russia. I think it was German. Nope, he's Russian. Then he gets his like punch and he breaks the glass just so he can drink like a son. And then he proceeds to go to the little girl in the jar, takes her out, which apparently she's been in the jar for 60 years. And the whole point of her coming out of the jar is to set up the final story arc, Cometh the Hour, which is the final part of the final story arc. And basically you have the military just firing missiles at this giant creature. And I think it works, but nope, doesn't work at all. And the creature's still munching about here. They're doing their best, basically, to deal with this stuff. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Black Flame has killed this story arc. Yeah, he's actually killed the end by the little girl. Which, apparently, he's one who trapped her. And then we have, like, the evacuation headquarters because the monsters are just so closing in. And they kind of basically go into hell itself. Where apparently they think, oh, maybe we should confront Satan himself. But there's a demon down there and he's dead. So what they do is, well, the little girl proceeds to take a knife, or she's the one, yeah, she kills Black Flame. And then in these oceans, we unleash these giant creatures, which they refer to as the first angels. And they later apparently rebelled against God, whatever. So basically, they were banished down to hell to build Satan's capital city. And they're kept in chains. And this is at this point here in chapter 3, is where they have to evacuate the headquarters of the B.P.R.D. And it's a good thing, while this is going well before this, they were digitalizing all the files related to B.P.R.D. And of course, everybody, pretty much everybody's able to evacuate all the monsters basically storming in. Yeah, and then of course the headquarters is destroyed, but they're not out of the fight just yet. The headquarters may be destroyed, but so the creatures proceed to eliminate basically some of these monsters, and then we have this place called Pandemonium. And then Black Flame is stabbed. Though we're getting to the end of this, so I hate when that happens. So basically, like, they set up their new temper-based operations in the aftermath of this in California. Yep, California! And of course, they eliminate the creature. And, well, you might think this is over. Well, it's wrapped up with the final part of this story. Yeah. And John supposedly kills the creature here. Yeah. Kills the creature, destroys it, and then we have the temporary B.P.R.D. headquarters in Pasadena, California. It would look like to be a hotel. Yes. They're based in this hotel. For now, anyways. They get data roster, and everything is slowly going back to normal. So yeah, they're eliminating some. Basically, at this point, and then she sees, oh, Ape Sapien has returned. Yep, but they'll find him. Yep, and then we have someone go up to the former B.P.R.D. headquarters, and that's it. That's the end of the saga. So, final thoughts on the Hell on Earth saga. This saga was amazing. This saga went on for a long time. I'm sure it's something that Mike Mignola wanted to do for some time. Yeah, he wanted to do this arc for a long time. And this arc has been going on since, if you're really curious, what was the arc that kicked this off? New Earth, issue 69. Yeah. So, this started basically on August 11th, which, by the way, came out roughly just, I think at this point they said make it monthly at this point in time. Yeah, after between 60 and 69 was like a about 4-month gap. Actually, it was 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. Yeah, and this went on. This whole saga went on for the monthly basis of this thing. For, if you're really curious, how long did the Hell on Earth stuff go on for? It didn't finally wrap up until 2016. It wrapped up on November 16, 2016. So that was... So, basically, this saga that I went through in a handful of volumes, this went on for 6 years in this series. 6 years. But, overall, this saga was amazing. Great action story, and it's said, though, that not long after this, pretty much right after this arc wrapped up, the series decided to take a 7-month hiatus between issues, and then start releasing Devil You Know, and then they come back with, they basically like between issues for some reason. I'm not sure why, but they did. But yeah, I give the book roughly a 10 out of 10. Yep. Be right back. Sorry about that. Nature calls. Alright, so next step we have is basically, because of the fact I've already finished Witchfinder, Lobster Johnson, and Abe Sapien. Basically, we're doing a series of mini-series. Now, when the B.P.R.D. Omnibuses are finished up, I'm going to be doing the Hellboy and B.P.R.D. books, which shouldn't take too long to get through. Once they're finished up, I plan to go through the Hellboy mini-series that came after Hellboy and Hell. That's the plan. So, our next one is one of our first mini-series, Frankenstein Underground. This actually is the first of 3 mini-series for this character. Actually, it was supposed to be 4, but it was canceled 2 issues in due to the co-writer of this book was accused of sexual harassment. So, Mike decided to cancel this book. And it's only 5 issues, written by Mike Mignola, art by Ben Serbach. And this is the case of Mike Mignola, where he basically takes characters from either the B.P.R.D. or some other books, people who are not Abe Sapien, Lobster Johnson, Witchfinder, and just has these mini-series of all these characters for the Hellboy universe. And Basically, this is Mike Mignola exploring every single corner of this universe. Gave a lot of his characters miniseries. Surprisingly, Liz Sheridan has never had one. You could say B.P.R.D was her book. She was in a lot of the series. So was Abe Sapien until he got his own spinoff. And it's only 5 issues. Mostly put, this is basically set in 1956. So this is set during the some point during the Hellboy B.P.R.D series. Or mostly put this Frankenstein here, where he's basically, he's a character I believe first popped up, I think in Abe Sapien, I think it was, and here he gets his own spinoff. Yep, he gets a follow-up, yes, but we'll get to that maybe if I get a chance to get on the trades there. So this is set during the 50s. Enters a series of adventures for him where he basically goes to, he's basically having the whole mini-series set in Mexico, which is interesting given the fact that he is a European character. Well, European person, mind you, yes. You just have like battle dinosaurs, still stuff with the church per se. They do keep the little similar things with the Boris Karloff with little things on his head, but he does not have the nails in his neck. He does not have that. He actually has that in his arms, not like the sides of his neck, not like the way. Yeah, it's like here's a good look at Mike Mignola's Frankenstein's monster. Yeah, that's his own, and I think the only reason why Universal does not assume over this character, because this character is, I would say, head-wise, is very similar to Boris Karloff, but different skin color. One thing, he's gray. Boris Karloff in the color pictures was green, and he's a lot thinner than Boris Karloff. Boris Karloff was basically a bit like a football player. He was practically a bodybuilder, and he wore clothes. This guy didn't wear anything at all. So it's just basically a lot of fun stuff with him. So I'm gonna give the book roughly a 10 out of 10. The book was really good. Okay, so that is pretty much a particular video. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, to notifications. Next up, basically we have is excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I left my Eric party to join my former students to explore Dungeon Desk. Okay, next video. Bye.